Hey everyone, Game of Thrones final season is getting closer and closer, with the main cast members finally having wrapped production on the whole series, and a few possible clues about the new season are starting to come out. Guys, it's been too long since we've discussed Game of Thrones here at New Rockstars, so in this episode, we're gonna talk all about it. But first, welcome to New Rockstars News. It's our deep dive into all the biggest stories this week, so we're also gonna talk about the Black Widow movie's new director, all the latest details on Shazam, and Lando Calrissian being in Star Wars Episode 9. I'm Erik, Voss. Joining me at the table are Sam Bashor, Filup, Molina, and DJ Wooldridge.
Hello. We're doing great. It's hot as hell again, but not as much as last time.
Not as much
as last time.
I'm going to be sweating still just for you guys.
Yeah.
He can control
It's
it.
called branding.
Let's get started with our top story, Game of Thrones Season 8, and all the new details that we now know about it. Now, this time, exactly 1 year ago, remember, we were completely swamped with our coverage of Game of Thrones Season 7, but the show is taking a full year off to produce its final season, with Season 8 not returning until 2019. We don't have an exact release date yet. It's looking like it'll be spring, maybe around May, June, according to my sources. I don't know. Now, details about Season 8 have been kept tightly under wraps, with scripts that self-destruct on iPads after scenes have been shot. But
Many people died.
Yeah, no survivors in either the narrative or in real life.
Yeah, exactly.
But here are some new updates now that the season has wrapped. Okay, and spoiler warning if you don't want to know stuff, but why don't you click on the video, yo? Okay, Maisie Williams, who plays Arya Stark, Instagrammed a goodbye photo that showed her shoes covered in blood with the hashtags Last Woman Standing and Barely. Now, that could refer to her being maybe the last actress to finish shooting on the show, or perhaps that she'll be the last female character left alive on the show. We'll see. Also, Sophie Turner, who plays Sansa Stark, promised a bloodier season with more death and emotional torture, in which we'll see everyone coming together to fight against, in her words, the impending doom of what, could be the, I don't want to give away too much. Anyway, a big threat. Those are her words. Clearly a foot and mouth there. There are some rumors about a surprise pregnancy twist that came out a few months back based on a TV Line post that didn't name Game of Thrones specifically. Remember, Cersei did tell Jaime that she was pregnant last season, although there was some speculation that she could have been lying to manipulate him. So if this rumor is true, we could be looking at like a Daenerys pregnancy. Which
we have to be.
It's not too crazy. Earlier this year, there were some social media photos near Belfast reporting a large fire on the Game of Thrones set that some have speculated could be the Castle of Winterfell burning to the ground. A lot of the people who hang around the set are like, oh, that's normally where Winterfell is. And then not too long ago, actor Joe Dempsey, who plays Gendry, talked about his expanded role in Season 8, meaning Gendry survived the Night King and Viserion's destruction of the Wall. He also mentioned shooting scenes with Kit Harington and Alfie Allen, suggesting that Theon Greyjoy could return to Winterfell. You piece enough of this stuff together, you can start to figure out what might happen. And then finally, Jason Momoa has shown up in a lot of candid set photos with other cast members, suggesting that maybe Khal Drogo could make some kind of return, maybe in another dream sequence for Daenerys, or maybe Aquaman just wants to hang out.
I hope he's still all dead behind the eyes and just dumb. Remember how he got to the end there?
Turns out he's the Night's King.
All along. Now, we're less than a year away from the final season, hopefully. And let's make some predictions. I'm curious from you guys. I want to know a plot twist that you think will end up being the most shocking moment of this final season. All the cast members are saying will be the shockingest yet. Or, and also one crazy theory that maybe in your heart of hearts as fans, you just want to see happen, even though it probably won't.
You look really excited.
I'm playing an invisible keyboard.
Oh, okay, pretty good.
I'm just holding down dramatic notes.
Parks and Recs fans, it sounded like, you remember the fake company they make, something 720?
Entertainment.
When they give out, Entertainment 720, when they give out the iPads like candy, they're like, stop giving out iPads. That's what it sounds like with that scenario. I don't want Dany to have a baby. I don't like how normal incest is in this show. They're like, it's a different world. And it's like, you don't understand it. I'm like, it's still a part of this show that I'm like, you taught us to be when we heard about Joffrey.
Incest?
Huh?
Yeah, right.
That's not incest, is it?
Who?
Is it?
Yes.
No. Oh, okay. Yeah,
I mean, if so, then I'm still a virgin.
That's not what that means either. Okay, to stick on the question, plot twist that I think could happen and would shock everyone is that Dany is bad and they have to kill Dany.
Right.
That would be a real shocking plot twist that they were kind of building toward possibly anyway. One crazy theory that my inner child wants to happen is not that. It's that Dany is Azor Ahai and that she needs to kill Jon. That's the opposite of the other.
Yeah,
idea,
I mean that actually sounds more plausible to me. That like they're working toward her being being the prophesied figure, right? Or I mean, there's kind of debate over whether it's John or Dany for the
or maybe it's
Reborn.
both,
Or
maybe
their
prophecies
kids.
are bad. Maybe don't listen to them. Star Wars taught me that.
I want to the dragon versus dragon fight. I think that'd be pretty cool. It'd be cool to see like a dragon crash and take out part of a kingdom. That could be, or like a castle. That could be very cool as well. Theon, I feel like he's gone through so much and he's burned so many people. I'd be fine if he just went away. Just like I know we feel bad for him because he's went through horrible things, but it's like at a certain point, it's like just. Wow, go away, please. Just stop. Be nice to that person.
What if he comes back awesome?
What if
with like robot parts and crap? Like he's just like amazing Theon.
I know the fun reveal was like Dany and Jon are related, so and Tyrion is listening, and we're like, but what if fun twist? No one's actually related. We can go ahead and move on past that. But actual theory that I think could be fun is a final showdown. Wait, no, this is fun twists.
Say your idea anyway.
That was me thinking. Sorry. No, I was just thinking that it would be cool to see Cersei team up with them, and I don't know how I would want that twist to happen. You said Dany turning into like a villain for the season. Could be interesting to see her take out Cersei, and it would be a lot of complicated emotions because most people would be like, "Hooray!" Like she's awful, but I don't know. It'd be interesting.
I think a twist that would really devastate people if they're like, you know what, guys, we're going to wait till George R.R. Martin finishes the books before you get the final season.
Be pretty good.
And then we never get the final
season at all.
We've shot it. It's edited. But it's going to sit in the can somewhere until George R.R. Martin finishes the books.
Has he had a cameo yet in the show?
That feels like a missed opportunity.
What if
he had a glamour spell. I don't know if you saw. And then
what
he
if
was gorgeous woman.
So he is the baby of Dany and Jon.
Boom!
And
but he comes out like George R.R. Martin.
You get a shot, flash forward or flash sideways. Lost fans, you know what I'm talking about. And then you can get, and it's him in present day, and you're like, how is he here? He's like, he's writing a biography of his family's life. He's telling a story about his past, and that the Game of Thrones world is real.
These are supposed to be unlikely twists.
I don't see that happening.
But the twist I'd like to see that I don't think would happen is kind of along Sam's line, because I do like Jon and Dany together. The reveal is Dany's not actually, I don't know, that she's not his aunt.
Yeah.
Because I am a fan of that coupling, and I want to keep being a fan of it and not think about the icky
I know, I'm over it.
aspect
I
of
think
it.
at this point they're hoping that we've been desensitized.
I'm exactly what Sam hates in this world.
You're like, what's gonna happen?
Well, I'm not like
next?
sticky fingered and but yeah.
I think there's gonna be one friend in every group of friends who watch Game of Thrones next season that anytime Jon and Dany are like romantic, it'd be like, that's his aunt.
Yeah.
That's her nephew.
Like,
Let's
it's-
not
we
be into
remember.
this.
It's tough because they're young and pretty, and so you want to be okay with it. And they're cool with their characters we like, and they've got good chemistry, but they're also related.
Do we
And
attach that logic to real life? It's like if they're pretty enough, they can go ahead. And
Oh, like Aunt Nicole. Never mind.
Aunt Nicole.
Well, Eric, what about you?
Oh, I mean, for my what I think will be the craziest twist, I think we're gonna be like surprised on what the big threat of the final, because I keep like trying to read between the lines of Sophie Turner's quote, and she kept saying like, she mentioned the word doom, and that just reminds me of like the doom of Valyria, you know, which was this mysterious natural calamity, volcanoes or meteors. They aren't really sure exactly what happened. But I'm thinking there's going to be some other kind of natural disaster that's not like winter in a way that they have to worry about, and they have to like find.
That'd be great. I always love it when it gets worse.
they take out the Night's Watch episode 1, like, oh, cool, that actually wasn't too bad.
Or the King's Army.
Yeah, not the sorry, yeah. No, not the Night's Watch.
Sam was easy to take.
No,
down.
Sam was easy. I'm sorry, the White Walkers.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, no problem. That was actually
One
super
person
easy.
is like, oh, White Walkers. I took out the Night's Watch.
How about you pull?
Damn it!
You pull a Parks and Rec and you go 3 years in the future, and you're like, but what happened? Like what?
Yeah.
What happens? Like, oh, you remember? And you get like 15 minutes an episode of like big battle.
They do like one 16-second flashback, and it's the most expensive 16 seconds on TV ever. It's just it's like a big comic splash panel of like everything. And they're like, remember that? Flash.
Yeah.
Done.
Done.
That's how I met your mother.
And then other like upset fans like re-edit that version.
How
like,
it
that's
should
how
have
it
gone,
should have
whatever.
ended. Yeah.
And now
Uncle
this one
Arya.
doesn't have girls.
Yeah. I mean, do we think Arya is going to be the last woman standing? Let's just address that
It's
question.
weird that the shoes that are bloodied are not. They're just
Our
sneakers.
tennis shoes,
Yeah.
which is the biggest twist, maybe.
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
Arya's just like, I devised
Oh, this is all
new
a
method.
VR world. This is
Boom.
not real.
Yeah.
Westworld crossover. This is all this stuff is when the park is going crazy.
Or if you guys ever watched
You
Life
asked
on Mars.
this question, by the way, so all of this is your fault.
Yes, it's all in my head.
These are unlikely twists.
Well, now that we know there is a link between Westworld and Game of Thrones, in the finale of Westworld, there was an astrolabe in the library that's the exact one that's in the Old Town Library and at the beginning credits.
And there are unrevealed worlds in Westworld.
Right. There's 3 more that we don't know. One of them could be a Game of Thrones.
What a
Or the
medieval
weird
Game of
twist
Thrones
that would be.
world.
Like you see like one of the samurai or the cowboys show up at the end. It's like, I got reinforcements, and you're like, why? Why would you do this?
Sam.
Wait, hold on. Are there animatronic dragons in this park?
There better be.
This got really bad.
And one turned into. Oh wait, we're into this. There's a zombie.
There's it reminded me of like seeing her tennis shoes like in Star Wars. Peter Cushing wore like slippers every scene, and then he just demanded that George Lucas shoot him from the waist up and
I
every scene.
demand that you shoot me from the
Maisie
window.
Williams is like, I will only be in chest up shots, close ups. That's it. And then she just got her shoes all bloodied. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think she would say last woman standing and have that. Like, she's smart enough. She's social media savvy enough.
Yeah.
I don't think. She
I
would reveal
don't agree. I think she slipped up. I think she she's gonna be the last woman standing. I think she's. It totally happened with what's her face, Kate from Lost. Live Links. What's
Wasp.
her name?
Evangeline Lilly.
Evangeline Lilly. Yeah, she spoiled a twist in that movie.
She did?
What twist did she?
On Instagram.
Oh.
She spoiled.
Oh, and she said the post-credit scene, right?
No, she spoiled who the was a surprise reveal villain in Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Oh, she said Goliath. Yeah,
Well,
said
that's now
Goliath
you
and-
spoiling it.
Yeah. Well,
movie's
sorry,
been out.
UK
Yeah.
viewers.
Hey, you guys could have come to America and watched that movie early. All right.
if you really cared.
Well, and if
We
you
don't
go
bang on
by
the
the
table
facts
here.
I gave you about the World Cup last week, your team got eliminated.
This is an alternate reality. Mod, what's your take?
Yeah, that's true. And you know, having Arya being the last woman, or Arya, I guess some people call me.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
no E in there. I guess it's Arya.
Arya.
I mean, George R. R. Martin did say she was one of like the 5 or 6 characters he imagined being there at the end of the story, at the end of the books, at least.
Yeah.
And who knows if the books will end up going differently than the show will. That's what I hope. That's what I hope is like the biggest twist of all this, is that the show just ends one way, and George R. R. Martin is like, okay, I got like 3 or 4 more years to write out the rest of these, and I'm gonna go in a completely different
I think
direction.
That's gonna happen. First of all, because he kind of said almost like that he was going to adjust some things. But and sorry to interrupt.
No.
I want to make a prediction real quick. I think that the show is gonna change the way it ends a little bit because of the prequels that are in production. Where they're gonna want there to be some setup, so there's a nice handoff to those prequels. So I wouldn't be surprised if we actually don't get every answer we expect and every kind of closure, so that they can kind of be like, we got to watch the prequels for that.
Yeah, and we will
So-
be talking about the prequels in a bit. But
So
yeah,
it's
go
like that one scene. This is a deep cut for all of you. That one scene in Sicario 2 where it's like, oh, so you also want to be in Sicario 3 wink franchise.
Sicario.
I didn't see
hilarious.
Sicario 2. Are they seriously building a Sicario
It's,
cinematic universe?
it's not that. It's not that in your face. But there's a scene. There's a scene in the movie that it's like, oh, Sony's definitely trying to make this like a thing. That's
The first one
now.
did so well.
Yeah. But I think George R. R. Martin's waiting. It could be one of two things. George R. R. Martin desperately doesn't want to finish the books, or 2, he's waiting to see how people react to the ending, so he can gauge like maybe don't do that, or maybe
Yeah.
do that. You know what I mean? So he can. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's. I mean, he is in an interesting position where he can have this like TV show. Like as an author, he doesn't have to just like throw, shooting to the dark right now.
Yeah.
He can see how things go and then adjust or maybe flesh out certain things that people are confused about. He can
Yeah.
give another chapter
Fix some
to a
things,
point of view
kind of.
chapter to somebody. Yeah.
But I liked how closely the earlier seasons hewed towards the books, and I'm kind of bummed that we're not going to get something. The whole show's not going to be able to be that tight as those first like 3 to 4 seasons were. You know what I mean? Because of that stuff. It would have been. I'd be interested like in some sort of alternate reality where they were able to do the show after the books were done. So you like the whole show was able to be as tight as those first few seasons.
Yeah, or they could just like pick and choose which storylines to do as opposed to just kind of like because the tone of the show did change after they went beyond the books.
Right.
I think if they'd kind of known more, it's like maybe we wouldn't have spent 2 seasons with Ramsay torturing Theon. Like maybe we would have like used a lot of that time elsewhere. You know?
Yeah, they kind of matched what level of detail he was going into, and not knowing that like, oh, we're not going to pay that off.
Well, you kind of get a sense. I loved season 7, by the way, but you kind of got a sense that like there was a little bit of stretching in 5 and 6, and then 7 was like, oh, we gotta hurry. You know what I mean? And I think maybe that.
Yeah,
would have
that's why I'm
more.
a little like I not thrown, but like I actually think season 8 is going to be crazy tight.
Yeah.
In that it's going to be too tight because they're like we don't have room to do anything but these 5 things, and that there's actually going to be a lot that is left out completely.
But they talked about how they were kind of structuring them more like movies. Like each episode was a movie. So I do have faith in that they can, if they kind of go with that structure, they can take some stuff out or maybe not spend as much time as they normally would with a season, but you'd still have the time to, you could start a few new stories, but mainly kind of bring everything back around to an end. I don't know what kind of ending I would want exactly out of this. Like the final note, what you leave on is like, is it the end of the battle? Is it like a look off into the sunset? I'm not sure. Aliens would be a great twist.
Yeah, and let us know what you think of these theories, aliens specifically.
Only the aliens.
Only the aliens.
Only the aliens.
In the comments below, or you can tweet us at New Rockstars or at each of our individual handles. And yeah, let us know what you have. What's your craziest prediction for the final season of Game of Thrones? Both what you think will be the most shocking moment, and what you think is most unlikely, but what you are dying to see happen.
Then screenshot your comment, save it on your desktop, and then tweet it at us in a year or whenever when we actually see it. And rub it in our faces, and maybe we'll send you a prize. I won't stand by that.
But you have to seal it in an envelope.
Nice
yes,
no
and
prize.
mail it to
notarized.
yourself.
Yes.
I'll promise that Filup will do that.
Yeah.
We'll do something.
We'll be talking more about, like, especially those Game of Thrones prequels in a bit. Let's move on to this week's trivia question.
Oh, I'm always so bad at this.
Okay, our trivia question. In Game of Thrones, Jon Snow's legitimacy as heir to the Iron Throne, as official son of Rhaegar Targaryen and Lyanna Stark, was confirmed in a record of Rhaegar's annulment by a High Septon. What was that Septon's name? Okay, another quick news update from this week, guys. The upcoming Black Widow movie has an official director, Kate Shortland.
Hey.
Shortland was chosen by Kevin Feige from a field of like 49 candidates. Shortland is an Australian director known for smaller, award-winning films, Lore and Berlin Syndrome, if you happen to see those. Lore actually took place in the aftermath of World War II, so Shortland has experience with films set in past historical periods, suggesting we could be seeing a Black Widow origin story set in Natasha's past as a KGB agent, if Shortland chooses to go in that direction.
Very
Somebody
cool.
would steal Scarlett Johansson's part to play that because she's too old for it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, they can use that de-aging technology that
whole
they use
movie.
in every
I
movie.
love that technology.
Well, it's funny because they're like, we're going to use de-aging tech on Samuel L. Jackson and Captain Marvel. It's like, what? He looks the same. Why we just put a wig on him and we'd all be fine.
Maybe a
We'd be
little
like, yeah,
makeup for maybe a few of the wrinkles.
yeah, and he's fine. Like he
Yeah.
looks
Michelle
the same.
Pfeiffer and Ant-Man, when they did it at the beginning, I was like, yep.
They got it.
She shot this during Batman Returns.
Lawrence Fishburne, though, just one little thing. It was when they did the de-aging for him for a second. There's a second where it looks like he's being born, and then it goes right back. It's just like...
The only thing I got with Lawrence Fishburne is that I think his head got bigger since he's become older, and they didn't debig it.
It wasn't Lawrence Fishburne. It was his son. It was Langston Fishburne.
Oh,
they brought
was
his
it?
son, who looks exactly like
Wow.
him. It's
That's
almost like
funny.
Ice Cube's son in
yeah,
and
that's-
Straight Outta Compton. He looks so much. I
what
think they
about
may
his-
have done a tooth thing.
There you go.
Because he's like, see, I got my dad's thing from the Matrix.
I
did it
It's
just
a-
like
it's his son.
that.
I just watched The Matrix again recently, and it's crazy how babyface Lawrence Fishburne in that movie.
He's so
like,
different. Well, and then watch Apocalypse Now, dude.
no,
Oh,
Like,
yeah, it
and then
looks so
Keanu
different.
Reeves looks exactly the same.
Yeah. Looks younger in John Wick. How does he do it?
yeah, what are we talking about? John Wick 2?
Anyway, yeah. Okay, everyone. More big Game of Thrones news came out this week with reports about a second Game of Thrones prequel series officially in the works. Now, we had already gotten reports not long ago about one Game of Thrones prequel series produced by George R. Martin and writer Jane Goldman. That one will take place 1,000 years before the current events in the Age of Heroes, and it'll explore more of the mystery of the White Walkers. And the pilot of that first one will begin shooting in October. Wow. So it's coming soon. But the second series is going under the working title Empire of Ashes, and it will tell the story of the doom of Valyria. Now, in the backstory of the Song of Ice and Fire series, Valyria is like the ancient empire that was mysteriously destroyed in some natural disaster event that's called the Doom of Valyria. Some people say it's a volcanic eruption or meteors. It's not really clear. It's a mystery. It's kind of like Atlantis or Pompeii, if we didn't know what destroyed Pompeii. But there is a creepy poem about it that's worth reading. It's from the books. The hills that split asunder, and the black that ate the skies, the flames that shot so high and hot that even dragons burned, the city of 1,000 years, and all that men had learned, the doom consumed them all alike, and neither of them turned. Yeah,
Okay.
try sleeping after that.
Neither
Okay.
of them turned?
I don't know.
You were reading like it was the Raven.
Yeah,
Nevermore.
like, and
Well-
neither of them turned. Could that be John and Dany and they didn't turn? I don't know.
Yeah.
We were all on board. In Game of Thrones, we actually briefly saw the ruins of Valyria when Tyrion Lannister and Ser Jorah Mormont boated through it. Remember that was the time when Jorah got infected with grayscale. and all
Whoopsies.
the-
With
and
plaque
grayscale
psoriasis.
jumped on them. Yeah. Now, Empire of Ashes will also tell the story of the origins of House Targaryen. It was a minor family of the dragon lords in old Valyria who rose to prominence by fleeing to Westeros just before the Doom, leading them with the world's only living dragons. It's a description from this release.
Yeah, we have these super proud Targaryens now, but there was a time when the Targaryens were kind of like the little bitch family.
Yeah, they were runaways from
yeah.
refugees.
I mean,
from-
literally, they became because they were the first to like run. They survived.
Yeah.
and that's the only reason. Yeah,
and they retained some of that culture. So imagine like the people who, when Rome collapsed and the Roman Empire just kind of went away, the people who like retained that culture and that technology are kind of the last men and women standing.
that's the
I
story
guess.
behind Super Mario.
And you also said
He's the last of the
Runaways.
Romans.
You said Runaways. That made me think of Hulu's Runaways Marvel property. They run away with a dinosaur similar to a dragon. 'Cause, I mean, LA is gonna fall. We'll find out next season.
We'll find
Runaways and Game of Thrones.
And Game of Thrones. It's going all the way. Well, what's interesting here is we have two prequel series, right? There's one exploring the origins of the White Walkers, one exploring the origins of the dragons, and it seems like we have a choice between ice and fire. Then if we have two series, one's like, they should just call it ice and fire, like the rides at Islands of Adventure in Florida.
Or like Pokemon game editions. Or
Yeah.
something. Like Game of
Gotta
Thrones
catch 'em
Ice and Game
all.
of Thrones Fire.
Well, between the two of these, which are you guys more excited to binge and dig more into? And
I could be down for. I mean, dragons are always going to be fun, but the White Walkers are going to be more interesting for me.
I'll say that I'm on board with that, but I think also because in the books there's a lot about that Age of Heroes, and like there's so many questions that are unanswered, and there's huge decisions that are having to be made. And then the Targaryen family line is definitely a really complicated family drama series. So in terms of Game of Thrones, I'm more excited about the other one. But in terms of that show that's on HBO right now, that's like about this family that is like very Shakespearean, Succession, I could see a version of that being a really fascinating character take on the Targaryen family.
And the cool thing for you, Sam, about the dragon one is there's going to be a lot of incest on that one, which I know is your favorite part of the show. I always love it when you have like these genre properties that have like a deep mythology that isn't really like. There's a lot of mystery to it, and then they love to just dive in like, hey, let's take all the mystery away because that's always what people want. And it's not. Anyway, it takes some of the fun because it's never as cool as you imagine. I thought, as you were talking about that, it'd be really interesting if they treated these spin-offs as almost like an anthology. So like season 1 is Age of Heroes, season 2 is the Targaryen family. If there is a season 3, like each season's another part of the mythology. And
that's
so
or Robert's Rebellion. One
yeah,
season,
you know what I mean.
or-
Like you just kind of like you don't have to, because after the Doom of Valyria.
Well, they're going to have to
Then what?
invent. That's
Like-
kind of my point. There's not a story existing there.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to invent a couple of stories.
So,
There's
but
like
if-
one sentence about each generation.
Yeah, and so then if you did like an anthology thing, it gives you an opportunity to like hit the highlights, but not necessarily have to build out something that's supposed to be as rich and compete with the Game of Thrones itself.
Yeah.
And what's more interesting, if you did the Doom of Valyria, do you have 3 seasons of it, the Doom not happening, and then it's coming, and you're like, we gotta stop it, but we know that it.
Now,
nothing can
realistically,
stop.
we want that to happen in the pilot because then you really want to see aftermath. That's what
yeah.
it's
Imagine like
Unfortunately.
that's like it's the fall of Krypton at the beginning, and the story is what happens when they leave and under the red sun of Westeros.
It depends on the
conquer it,
pace
and
of the
yeah.
show. If the pace is slow, then let's not have a huge slow build up to the Doom.
But true. Yeah, I feel like you could criticize both directions you go. Like one season's like, okay, that I feel like one season in Valyria, you know something's gonna come. Maybe somebody knows because of course somebody's gotta know when the big disaster
Well, like the
comes.
show Krypton.
Yeah, it is. And then you have the next season, the dealing with the Doom.
But it's also part of the
Doom, the
appeal
game,
of
Dr. Doom.
in the storytelling. The part of the appeal of the Doom is the mystery behind it. Like, if you're like, oh, it's volcanoes. Oh, it's underwhelming. Like,
I mean, I've always pretty much assumed it was a volcano.
I don't want to be. Is that what is the Doom? What messed up the seasons? There was an event that kind of messed up the seasons in the Game of Thrones world, which is why they take generations as opposed to months. Why winter lasts for like years. Was the
I always
Doom
thought that was about their distance from their sun.
Okay.
There's all these
Yeah.
kind of mysteries, whether it's like this just magical world but there have been some like astrophysicists who have charted out different orbital paths that
That would make it make sense,
Make
yeah.
it possible. They said if it's part of a trinary star system, that it could create irregular
Yeah, and
seasons.
it goes to a kind of an infinity symbol,
Yeah.
which is actually possible. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought, to me, that's one of the how Game of Thrones kind of hooked me initially, because it started off like you right off the bat, you had the scene with the White Walkers in the woods, so you knew, okay, there's a little supernatural here, but otherwise it was a political drama set in medieval times, and like you only had little things like the fact that seasons took, it wasn't until like episode 4 that I had finally absorbed enough to be like, oh, their seasons aren't our seasons. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, look at the people that watched full season 1, and they're like, "Is this not England?"
Yeah.
Right. That's how I was the first 5 episodes. I was not paying attention. I'm like, oh yeah, this is just like England and Scotland and the 1400s.
Jesus at the beginning.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, I don't remember a big ice wall. I
And now-
guess that happened with dragons.
And now 7 seasons later, we've earned, now it's a straight up Lord of the Rings-esque fantasy epic. And it's earned that, you know what I mean? It's earned the ability to have, you know, the kind of some of the shortcuts that it's taken in 7 seasons. Like, I don't know. I'm a little like, I feel like the spin-offs can't help but be lesser compared to the main thing. Like, kind of like I have almost zero interest in the Lord of the Rings show.
Maybe, but how much interest do you have in Marvel as a cinematic property, going into various stories, meeting up together for other stories?
It depends on how good the story is.
And it's
Yeah.
fair to
And
say
so,
that
you
Angel
kinda
could have
do the
been
same
better than
thing.
Buffy.
Which some people believe that starting season 5.
I enjoy Angel more.
Yeah,
than
it's
Buffy.
hard to imagine what the spin-off would look like until you actually see it. Like, I love the show Better Call Saul. I love Breaking Bad even more.
Better
But
Call Saul is
it's
amazing.
like I never would have thought at the outset that you could do a complete 5-season
Yeah.
series about just Saul Goodman. But
And
it's
it's riveting.
worked.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally
So
fascinating.
the story is the key. Can they tell a good story? I think one smart thing to do is don't tell the same kind of story in both shows.
100%,
I
because
think they're both
that's
cool.
going to the Better Call Saul example. It's a very different show, and I think Better Call Saul is a great example too, because it uses the clout that Breaking Bad got it to do something. If you just pitched that show cold, it would have never gotten made. But with Breaking Bad behind it, they'd be like, yeah, and you want to take, like, it's so procedural, and it takes so much time with just little details, like when Mike's like trailing somebody using like a baby monitor.
Oh,
you know
yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean? Like, and so if these Game of Thrones spin-offs are able to use the Game of Thrones name to tell fantasy stories that they would never be allowed to do otherwise,
that's
that
a
could
good
be
point.
really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously, I have the question for you guys is going to be which one do you guys are you guys more excited about? But I have a bonus question on that. Do you think that this idea about AT&T purchasing HBO and oh god, I'll vamp. The idea of them purchasing HBO means that they're not going to have the ability to dedicate as much budget. Oh god, it's all over my pants anymore. It's getting in the wires. Oh, the ant farm under the table.
It's getting into Philip's wires.
So do you think AT&T is going to prevent HBO from dedicating budget?
It's getting in the fish tank. Salinate
Oh
it.
god,
Salinate it.
quick. I should have worn shoes. Let us know in the comments below. Someone's bleeding. Someone's bleeding.
That salinate joke really got Sam. He was really that.
Oh, no. Guys, I need to hydrate real fast. God.
I got you.
Thank God.
Hold on.
Thank God. So the question for you.
The question was AT&T buying AT&T buying HBO. Well, there was that news report of the new boss going to HBO, like it's going to be a hard year because we've got to churn out like 3 times the content because Netflix.
He was, Nixon.
And it was like I don't know about you guys, but like reading that, it was like really depressing because it's like I like the way HBO turns out. Like less is more. Like it turns out less, but it is the best content out there, barring an FX maybe. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah. But another quick news update from this week. More news from Star Wars Episode 9. Billy D. Williams, who played the original Lando Calrissian in The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, will be returning for Episode 9. Now, some fans were hoping that he would return since, all the other big players from the original trilogy have appeared in the new movies. Williams will be joining Kerry Russell, who will also be playing a big role in Episode 9.
She will be playing Leia.
Yeah. And Billy D. Williams will be playing R2-D2.
Yep.
This is America. All right.
Okay, everyone. We've been getting some news about the upcoming Shazam movie this week with an official photo from the movie showing Zach Levi in costume. And the director, David Sandberg, announced that we will be seeing a trailer for the movie at Comic-Con next week.
Cool.
So here's just, a primer of everything you need to know about Shazam before you see this trailer so you don't feel like a dum-dum. Okay, he's a classic superhero from the DC Comics. He's the alter ego of a boy named Billy Batson. Billy speaks the magic word Shazam, which is an acronym of the 6 immortal elders: Solomon, Hercules, Atlas, Zeus, Achilles, and Mercury. And then he transforms into the adult superhero with similar powers to Superman. Now, originally, the adult superhero was named Captain Marvel, but Marvel Comics released their own version of a character named Captain Marvel or Marvel. So the DC version just eventually started to go by Shazam to avoid confusion. But he goes by both names. In this one, they're probably just going to call him Shazam. Now, one of Shazam's primary nemeses is Black Adam, who has Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson attached to play him. Though Black Adam will not appear in this movie. He hopefully will get his own movie coming up soon.
No cameo either confirmed, by the way.
Now, they have announced that Jaimon Hansu will be playing the Wizard. And not to confuse you too much, but the Wizard's name, I think, was Shazam, right? His name was
Wizard
Shazam.
Shazam.
Yeah. But he's just being called the Wizard. In later comics, he's just known as the Wizard. He's a 3,000-year-old being who is seeking a successor, and he's the one who gives Billy his powers. Now, Shazam is marketing itself as kind of a wish fulfillment superhero movie with a similar tone to the movie Big with Tom Hanks.
Perfect.
Such a
works
good
for me.
pitch. Such a good pitch for a movie.
So what do you guys see Shazam bringing to the DC movie universe that isn't there yet?
Oh, I mean,
Fun.
lightness, right? Yeah.
Look at that. This is actually from, if you guys want just a quick sum up of Shazam with a really good story that's probably going to be what the movie is. It's Jeff Johns and Gary Frank did a Shazam story like 4 years ago, 5 years ago.
52.
It's really good.
Yeah.
It's really pretty. And if you guys want just like a fun story, and it's the same thing. That exact scene is from the comic where he saves somebody and like, oh, do you want something? They get soda and they get to drink it because he's a kid. Also, I found out why they have the lightning so small, because usually it goes all the way down his body. It's so he can bend his bend his body in any direction. So that's why it's only right here, like Superman.
This is a more updated version of the costume too. They previously had slight differences on it. I think I like that Shazam more recently has been kind of a comedic figure. They realized what a fun idea it is to put a child's brain in this man's body.
Yeah.
And I think that they played that up a lot in the depictions. Even the animated series, when he shows up, he's just like a funnier character. The original versions of that were like this real weird experience for me, where I was just like, I couldn't get why the character even existed, honestly.
Yeah, there was a moment way back in the day that he was when he was first introduced, he was more popular than Superman. We are a long way away from that now. But this could be a cool opportunity for DC to kind of do equal but opposite Deadpool, something that kind of is an irreverent version of the superhero story we're used to, but in a more lighthearted, kid-friendly way than Deadpool is.
Right, give Ferris Bueller superpowers or something and see how he uses them or something.
That's a great way to pitch this too. Yeah. Ferris Bueller with superpowers. I love that.
And Captain Marvel Shazam was always kind of confusing because I think, and probably when you and I were growing up, it was more like the classic comic Thor situation where Shazam was actually a different person than Billy was, and it was just like.
Which what? Is why does this exist then? Why do we need the Billy part?
Yeah. Like Thor in the comics used to be Donald Blake, and then he hit his thing, and then he became Thor. So it's like, well, then why is Donald Blake there? Anyway. Yeah. This is fun.
All right, but now it's the time to move on to our new Rockstars News Lightning Round. Filup at Iron Quill wants to know, what is your spirit animal?
Any dog.
Any dog?
Any dog.
Even Hitler's dog?
Yep.
Oh boy.
Adorbsies.
You heard it here, folks.
Yeah.
Sam at True Scorn wants to know. I always make a True Scorn one because I just love your handle. Sam, first crush on a fictional character?
I just remember first crush period was Britney Spears. So in love. I think first
fictional.
Yeah, no. Sorry, I was thinking first crush ever. First crush was Britney Spears, but fictional is Patty Mayonnaise. From Doug.
Oh,
yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Yes.
Doug.
That says a lot about you.
DJ at Small Gentleman wants to know. I think we just saw Small Gentleman with Shazam there.
He's talking about Shazam's groin.
Small Gentleman wants to know what movies do the best job at incorporating music,
What genre of movies,
or just maybe what specific movies come to mind when you think of like they did a really good job incorporating.
it's hard to
music.
top
Good
Baby
soundtrack, maybe
Driver.
best movie soundtrack that you can think of.
Good call. Sorry. Baby Driver's hard to top. It did
yeah.
such a great job
yeah.
incorporating its music. Any Tarantino film. Sam's giving me a look.
Of like the
What?
Guardians of the Galaxy.
It's fine. That's fine. Yeah, it has good music in it.
I think Baby Driver is the objective correct
Yeah.
because they actually like wrote the dialogue and
It's-
shot the scenes around. them.
Essentially, even though it doesn't function like we typically understand musicals to function, it is essentially a musical.
Yes, it's like
And-
Stomp.
Yeah, and yeah, so it's hard to top that. But Tarantino's always really good at incorporating music. I feel like there's one I'm missing, but you get the idea.
Is it a lightning round?
Lightning.
Should I give you a paper cut?
Paper cut.
Yeah.
Paper cut round.
Sliced them open.
Sorry. At Hato _ potato.
Hate a potato.
Hate a potato _ for Eric. What would you do if you were a kid and you had Shazam's powers to turn into an adult for one day? So you're a kid, but you can become an adult for one day. What would you do?
I would.
He has more powers than that, by the way.
He's not just Tom
Just to
Hanks
be
and me.
big.
He doesn't just get a regular driver's
But let's
license.
assume. Let's go by the letter of the question
He
as
immediately
it's
gets
written.
back problems and kidney trouble. Like,
I would go see an R-rated movie, yeah, for sure, because
Yes.
I was afraid to do that as a kid. You know,
Yes.
they don't always care. And I would buy a lot of candy. I probably wouldn't just go buy alcohol because I don't buy alcohol. I still buy bags of candy
Yeah.
as adult me.
too,
So I
yeah.
feel like that would, just fast forwarding directly to that, not having to wait time to be the man I am now.
the
with
question
candy.
also sounds like it's phrased like a purge night question. Like, if you were an adult for a second, you
Yeah.
could do whatever you wanted. It's like, you can, what would you do? Lightning.
Well, thank you, Hato Potato. It was a pleasure. And True Scoring, Small Gentleman, and Iron something. You guys are great. And all the people,
At Iron
Quill,
something.
you guys all, and those of you who didn't get to, thank you for tweeting us. And look out for a tweet next week. And we loved interacting with you. And just tweet us. Often we'll just respond. Sometimes I'll just respond to your question. Someone wanted me to do the Jurassic Park raptor growl. And I did it because I felt like doing it at the time. So you don't have to wait for lightning round. Tweet us. We
Tweet
like
us.
hearing from you.
Some
Unless
person
you're
keeps
mean.
asking about my hair. Just get a hair dryer.
That's it. Okay. Well, next up, let us take a look at what we got in the pipeline for videos coming out on this channel in the next
In the
week.
pipeline.
In the pipeline. Hey, Doug. All right. Mayonnaise is in the pipeline. Okay. We have our breakdown series that we're doing of the Dark Knight trilogy by Chris Nolan. We just uploaded Batman Begins. Thank you for all the positive feedback on that. Spread it around so people can see this because, I mean, if these videos do well, we'd love to do these kind of projects in
Yeah,
the future.
sure.
But the Dark Knight is the big tamale of that one. It's coming out on Wednesday, July 18th, which is the 10-year anniversary of the movie. So we're very, very excited about it. We put a lot of work into this. Our editors are working around the clock to make this one a real special one for you guys. And then a week after that, we have our breakdown of The Dark Knight Rises, which I'm currently in the weeds in right now. And you know what? It's a much better movie than you remember. I remember liking it, but like over the years, some people have started to be critical of it. Forget that. It's a much better movie.
Yeah, I'm a fan of that.
Even
Still
better
a
than you
Nolan
remember.
film. They're
Yeah.
so much better than everything else we got.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So we're going to get to all the reasons why it's a really good movie. So keep an eye out for that one as well. And then at the end of next week is Comic-Con 2018 in San Diego. So it sounds like we will have an Aquaman trailer and a
Yay.
Shazam trailer.
Yay.
Maybe also trailers for Fantastic Beasts Crimes of Grindelwald and Wonder Woman 1984.
Yay.
So whatever big trailers come out of that, we will be working over the
Stressing
weekend
out
to try to get
terribly,
those
yeah.
to you as well. So lots of good stuff in the pipeline from new Rockstars. And we'll see if Captain Marvel trailer coming out soon.
Hey,
Like-
but maybe Venom, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Yes. Oh, yeah. All kinds
We
of
just
great
got
stuff.
a new image of Venom. Looks cool.
Yeah. So yeah, keep an eye out on this channel, and as always, if you haven't subscribed yet, subscribe. Get your friends to subscribe because it's gonna be a great month coming ahead. So now comes the time for our 15-second shout outs, where each of us has 15 seconds to shout out, plug, or ramble about anything we want. Sam, why don't you start?
Queer Eye, Netflix. I don't need to say more. If you want a show
Oh, he
that
does.
that genuinely just makes your life just a little bit better, Queer Eye.
Yeah. Yeah, it's great. It's really, really good. For
Put
me,
that on the ad.
Yep.
Good. A little bit better.
my shout out is for the HBO series Sharp Objects, which is written. It was a book written by Gillian Flynn, the same person who did Gone Girl, both the movie and the book. It's got Amy Adams. It's great. It's a little slow, but if you like patient small town crime dramas that like have really interesting editing and amazing acting, check it out.
Sounds like me.
Cool. I say watch Blockers. It's a better comedy than it should be. Don't have huge expectations for it, but John Cena's really funny in it, and the kids are really funny in it. So, okay.
Interesting.
And
We
Sam
should talk
agrees.
about. We should do a breakdown of it.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
It's just every
Lockdown.
once in a while we get a slightly better terrible movie. You know what I mean? Like those movies come out all the time, but that one has like some really fun moments, especially with John Cena.
The knockoff Wahlberg in that movie, I like him. He was funny.
John Cena?
The other one.
Oh, Ike Barinholtz?
Yeah, that's who he's referring
Reynolds
to.
is great.
Yeah, that's who he's referring to.
Probably.
So funny.
So for me, last time ever that you'll hear about this here, chaostheorycomic.com. Hot dang it! There's only a couple days left. It's funded. It's happening. We reached our funding. Now we're working on our first stretch goal, which we're actually really close to. And on that stretch goal, that boy over there is going to write and draw his own 30-page comic.
Write and draw.
It'll be digital.
Previously banned from writing or drawing anything.
Yeah, now he's gonna write and draw, and also no matter what tier, oh my goodness, no matter what tier you choose, you will be getting that digital comic if we reach our stretch goal. So go to chaostheorycomic.com for more on that. It's got zombies, it's got dinosaurs, it's got aliens, it's got everything you and I and all of us here love.
It's gonna have variant covers to my comic, and that's gonna be money out of my own pocket. It's gonna be something special. It's gonna
Oh,
be
like
so-
the Batman Forever mugs.
There you go.
I think they'll burn your comic in churches.
It's digital, so they can't. I mean, good luck with that. But they'll have to be
Again, iPads.
They'll still have to be self-destructing.
Just
like Game of
hearing
Thrones,
Sam
yeah.
spitballing about where he's going with this, I think like a religion is going to spin out of this thing, and it's not going to be good.
Or it'll be amazing.
Well, isn't that the greatest testament? Like
That's what it's gonna be called. It's the
talent
greatest
is
The Old
Testament.
Testament, the New Testament, the greatest testament.
Written and drawn by Sam Bashor.
Yeah.
What happens after Revelations? Check it out.
Zombies,
Meet
dinosaurs,
Chad.
Meet Chad. He's down on his luck. Oh, it's writing itself. That's great.
Let's return to our trivia question that we asked earlier.
Yikes.
Also, what we just did here, you'll be able to vote on the setting and the plot and everything too. So it'll be similar to what just happened right
Don't
now.
make me
He'll find a way to
write
ruin
more
it.
religious texts.
Okay, so this one was a really, really tough one. In Game of Thrones, Jon Snow's legitimacy as the heir to the Iron Throne, the official son of Rhaegar and Lyanna, was confirmed in a record of Rhaegar's annulment by a High Septon. What was the Septon's name? What did we write down?
DJ wrote
That's me.
Septon Churchill.
Okay.
Sam wrote
Related to Winston.
Jorge R.R. Martin or Martinia because it's an Enye.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Anya.
Eric wrote Alistair, which I know he's referencing Alistair Crowley because
Not Thorne?
Eric is a devil worshiper.
Filup wrote, "Oh something McSomething,
No, M something.
M something."
Because I did remember there was an M something.
Like Bodie McBoatface.
Kinda. I just remember there was an
That is
M
the
last
answer.
name.
It's, High Septon Bodie McBoatface. It is High Septon Maynard. Maynard. So M.
Cool.
M's close.
Pretty sure only one person wrote Septon in it.
His name
It's
isn't
not his
Septon.
name. High Septon, Septon,
It is
Churchill.
strange. Yeah.
Mine's three names. These are three names.
There's lots
I mean,
of different
RR, I
ways
guess
we
is
could
Yeah.
be wrong.
Judges, who's the closest? Yay, because I wrote M something in there.
Something,
Judges, who's the furthest?
Where's it? I'm not gonna look at which one.
It's, Shamuel.
I don't know where yet.
Are you
Vassar.
Who are you pointing at? Sam.
Shamuel.
Yeah, sorry,
Yeah,
Shamuel. what a Shamuel.
Shamuel
Jorge R.R.
Genji.
Martin.
All right, so Filup will do our goodbyes. Sam, unfortunately, will have to, or fortunately for us, we'll have to do our in other news headlines that we did not have time for. I'll read each headline, and then Sam will have to make a joke at the end of the headline and cleverly riff on it. Are we ready, Sam?
Well,
You can do it.
Just remember, Sam's been taking improv classes for this exact purpose.
yes, and.
Here we go. In other news, Marvel head Kevin Feige confirmed that half of all life was wiped away in Thanos' snap, including animals.
Gulp.
I'm half. Wait, hold on. And
For podcast listeners, we have not gone dark.
he's just
He's just
struggling.
thinking.
He's just sweating into the microphone.
This is a great bit.
Hey, hopefully our it means half the calories. Am I right?
There you go.
Half the calories.
Woo!
Thanks,
Yeah, 'cause,
everybody.
yeah,
Number
if-
2.
especially if you eat meat. Yeah,
Is
that's
there a
half the
time limit
calories.
on this?
No,
Oh,
unfortunately.
God, why didn't we
Also,
we
if
do it
half
this
of
way.
all animals, that kind of bungled it. Go on.
You stick with the half
You
of the
go
calories
half
one.
of the All right, the Joaquin Phoenix Joker origin movie is moving forward and is rumored to feature Bruce Wayne's father.
What?
This ain't no laughing matter.
Yeah,
For the
there we
movie.
go.
Yay!
Good. Avengers director.
That laughter hurt. That applause hurt.
Oh. Avengers director Joss Whedon is developing an HBO series called The Nevers about a gang of Victorian women with unusual abilities.
It's almost there. Nevers. He's never's gonna get my views ever again.
For making this show.
I don't know from other stuff. He's he got bad talked in the. Oh wait, no, I got another one. Here you go.
Have you been drinking?
Well, I don't know. You kept
Or have you not
spilling
been-
stuff. I had to grab something to drink. Okay. Hey, Joe Sweden is.
Who's Joe Sweden?
Joe
Whedon.
Sweeten.
Joe Sweden.
on me.
Man, I don't want to watch anything by Josh Whedon.
Josh Whedon.
Never say never.
Hey, yeah. Hey, never. When you thought Buffy wasn't gonna come back, never say never.
Oh.
It's not laughter. You don't need to
We know.
applause that. Yeah.
Applause is second to laughter for comedians.
Oh, gosh.
It's almost as good. Game of Thrones books have been banned from a prison because they contain maps that officials worry could be used to escape.
What?
From where?
It's just a news headline.
That
I
is
guess
one
they have a
of the-
policy against maps,
This
any
is-
maps in prison.
This isn't a joke, but the Logan Lucky, the bit in Logan Lucky with Game
Right,
of Thrones
yeah.
is one of the
With the
funniest bits in
final Game of
any
Thrones.
movie.
Can we just play a little bit from Logan Lucky and make that my joke?
We don't have the rights to it.
Speaking of the mic.
Okay.
Don't tell us.
Where they're gonna. Hey, those maps aren't gonna help you through those complicated plot twists.
In jail?
You through those. Who's
You don't
you?
ask a question. You
The
don't get to
prisoners?
ask questions in comedy shows.
The
You
prisoners
just gotta
aren't
listen to
watching
the
this.
joke.
They're in jail.
The comedy?
And finally, Logan director James Mangold warned that toxic fandom will scare away talented directors from nerd movies.
Logan makes me think of this, and that makes me think of that. It's A to C thinking. It's the TJUCP.
Well, not when you walk through it.
Yeah, you got to tell us to
Comes
say
A
it
to
out
B.
loud.
Thinking.
Comes A to B, yeah.
They say to think it out loud. I honestly have zero.
Can I take that one?
Yeah,
Let's
yeah,
try
tag
it again. You mind reading that again?
Logan director James Mangold warned that toxic fandom would scare away talented directors from nerd movies.
That's interesting. I'd be really interested to hear what an actual talented director has to say about that.
James Mangold is great.
I mean, that was good. That was actually a sentence. I feel like that.
It was definitely a step up from Sam.
Hey, it was different.
Well done both to Sam and DJ.
James
for getting
Mangold's
us through
he's a good boy. He's a good boy.
that. And Filup, as the winner of our trivia, you get to do our goodbyes.
As you guys know, I tend to like to just do these straight because most people don't actually say any of our handles, so I'll just very easily make everyone sit here as we say thank you to our hosts, Sam Bashor, at Sam Bashor, Erik Voss, at EA Voss, Philip Molina, at Fimo, DJ Wooldridge, at DJ Talks Trash. Comment down below, tweet at us at New Rockstars. Like this video for sure, share it around, and subscribe to New Rockstars for deep dives into the stuff you love. See you next week. Bye.